Okay, so I have a little bit to say this morning or this session. So maybe some of you, like me, were either watching or listening to some of the tennis over the weekend. The Australian Open was going on, and I was following a little bit of it on uh, either on the radio or just through checking the score quite often. But I was listening to some commentary. I suspect it was BBC commentary for the women's final, and they were bantering. They were really getting into some banter, and they were talking about the respective characters of the two women playing. So Rubakina and Sabalenka at the time, and they were making all sorts of comparisons. They were having a great laugh actually, and they started talking about the Dementors in Harry Potter, which I'm not very familiar with myself, I have to say. The soul suckers apparently, and they who give nothing away. They give nothing away apparently of what they're feeling. And then on the other hand, they started comparing the other tennis player. They didn't have an actual comparison, but they just talked about using words like a wind-up merchant or someone who sprays emotions around the place. And so it just got me thinking about sort of inner our inner soul sucker and our inner wind-up merchant. And yeah, the different ways in which we can relate to our experiences or yeah. So I'll one of them I thought there's the soul sucker I thought was this perhaps a disengagement or the danger being a lack of interest in what is going on in what we're experiencing, um, a bit stepped back too far, and therefore you can lose energy and perhaps end up with being a bit sleepy. So that's on the one side, the soul sucker side. And then on the other side, the drama queen, where you're over involved or sort of caught in what's happening. Um, and I think it can make the mind a bit prone to restlessness, sort of jumping around a bit and being quite sort of agitated kind of energy. So, they're the two extremes, if you like. Um, Maybe you can recognize both tendencies that when the mind is a bit unengaged or it's a bit too engaged. So I think what helps make a tennis player be effective in terms of their mind state or their sort of how they're relating to what the ups and downs of what's happening is maybe has some similarity to for us, what when we're watching the mind, watching what's happening. Um, yeah, so what's helps make mindfulness most effective? A really good basis to build strength and consistency of awareness. Having a balance where the mind grows equanimity. That's really what we're doing in practice. We're growing the strength of an equanimous mind. And equanimity, of course, at certain levels of equanimity have a strong sort of wisdom component to them. So middle way, as always, being engaged with what's happening, but not over involved. Um, Being able to see the bigger picture with what's happening. And use the tennis analogy again. We're not just with that point that we've just won or we've just lost, but actually we're in there for the whole match, as it were. Just to not to take the analogy too far. Um, One of the comments, so Pat Cash, the Australian ex-player, was one of the commentators, and he said at some point, he said, "There's no shame in being beaten." He said, "It's when you beat yourself, there's the shame." And I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. The no shame in being beaten, but it's when you beat yourself up, really, I think he was saying. So when we get in our own way, through our own reactions to what's happening in the mind, what's just going on anyway. Uh, so there isn't shame from whatever happens in our practice, but our reactivity to it, that's a shame. That's a shame when we get into to doing that, when we get overly involved in the drama, in the story, the flamboyance of our thinking or emoting. Yeah, getting wound up by our own experiences. So that's when the practice instruction, we're just there to just remind ourselves to be aware, just remembering to be aware, just using that little bit of intentionality, the intention, no matter what else is happening here, the intention is just to be aware, just to notice what's happening. And it takes that little bit of energy. Um, So I guess the other side, when we're not sort of emoting and being caught up in the drama of our experience, is that we can drift a bit. And that drifting can take us out of awareness. Um, as one of the paradoxes, it's fine to drift in awareness, but you don't want to drift out of awareness. So yeah, take that little bit of sort of interest in what's happening that will help us. Maybe the mind is meandering all over the place, but actually, if you can stay with it, just be with the mind as it goes, as it moves, then that's fine. That will help awareness grow and strengthen. So we want this wise involvement with experiences, and then we can see them clearly from the perspective of the Dharma, the right view perspective. We know whatever is happening, that this is, for example, this is thinking, this is feeling, this is sensing, uh, this is knowing, this is what knowing and being aware feels like in the mind. And then the energy stays steady, and it helps grow the awareness, it grows mindfulness. And something U Tejaniya used to say in Burma. So this was in retreat conditions, but he wasn't just talking about retreat conditions. He says if the quality of energy is right in practice, in mindfulness practice, then by the end of the day we are not tired. By the end of the day we actually have more energy, because we've cultivated mindfulness in the right sort of way with this steady, not diving into experiences or not pulling back from them, but just a steady sort of awakeness and watchfulness. So then awareness quietly grows, and positivity also grows, and wisdom also grows. Yeah. So tennis, you can get anything from anything, can't you? You can get the Dharma from anywhere, really, I find. So if you like to set yourselves up to sit.